The studio lights burned bright as the cameras rolled, catching every flicker of expression across the audience's faces. It was supposed to be another light-hearted panel discussion, an evening of wit, banter, and thought-provoking conversation. But within minutes, it became clear that what was about to unfold would be remembered far beyond that night. The spark came when Oprah Winfrey, known worldwide for her charisma and sharp observations, leaned forward with a half-smile, looked directly at Senator John Kennedy, and delivered a comment that hung in the air like a blade. "You know, Senator, sometimes you come across less like a leader and more like a joke." The audience gasped, some laughed nervously, others sat frozen, waiting to see how Kennedy would react. John Kennedy, seated calmly with his hands folded, didn't flinch. His reputation in politics was one of sharp humor and unapologetic honesty, but at that moment, everyone wondered if he'd fire back with anger or retreat in embarrassment. Instead, he did neither. He leaned back, eyes scanning the crowd, and let the silence build until even Oprah's confident smile wavered. "A joke?" he finally said, his voice steady and measured. "Well, I'll tell you something. A joke makes people laugh for a moment, but truth, no matter how uncomfortable, lasts forever. And if speaking the truth makes me a joke in your eyes, Oprah, then I'll gladly be the punchline." The audience erupted, half in applause, half in stunned murmurs. Oprah blinked, momentarily taken aback, clearly not expecting such poise. Kennedy wasn't finished. He leaned forward, his southern drawl cutting through the tension, weaving humor and conviction in equal measure. "You see, folks, I grew up learning that respect isn't about the size of your stage or the size of your wallet. It's about whether you stand up when it matters most. I may not always say what's popular, but I'll always say what I believe is right. And if that makes me the butt of a joke, I'll sleep just fine knowing I didn't trade honesty for applause." The air in the room shifted. People who had chuckled moments earlier now leaned forward, their expressions softening. Kennedy had managed to take what could have been a humiliating moment and turn it into a lesson in dignity. Oprah, still poised, nodded slowly, perhaps realizing that she had underestimated him. To her credit, she allowed the conversation to continue without defensiveness. But Kennedy seized the moment, going deeper. He shared a story from his youth, about growing up in a modest Louisiana home, where his parents drilled into him the values of humility and courage. "My mama used to tell me," he said, "you can't control how people see you. Some will see a fool, some will see a hero. What matters is that when you look in the mirror, you can stand the sight of the person staring back. That's where real respect is won." The audience grew quiet, hanging on every word. What began as a mockery had turned into a sermon on authenticity, and you could see it in their eyes as they were moved. As Kennedy spoke, he didn't try to humiliate Oprah or return insult for insult. Instead, he invited everyone, including her, into a deeper conversation. He talked about the danger of a world where leaders chase applause rather than truth, where popularity becomes more valuable than integrity. "America," he said, his voice rising, "doesn't need leaders who act like celebrities. It needs men and women who will do what's hard, even if it makes them unpopular. Because the right thing to do is often the loneliest road to walk." The applause grew louder this time, echoing through the studio. Some audience members even stood, clapping with conviction. Oprah smiled again, but now it wasn't the smile of mockery, it was one of respect. She leaned in and said softly, "Senator, I didn't expect that answer. You've given us all something to think about tonight." Kennedy nodded politely, offering only a small smile in return, the kind that came not from victory but from relief, a man who had weathered a storm without compromising his dignity. The rest of the discussion carried on, but the energy in the room was forever changed. Kennedy had turned what could have been a moment of humiliation into a lesson in strength. Viewers at home, watching live, lit up social media with reactions, many praising his composure, some admitting they had underestimated him too. What resonated most wasn't just what he said, but how he said it, with humility, courage, and an unwavering sense of self. By the time the credits rolled, the audience wasn't just applauding the show, they were applauding the man who had refused to let a mocking word define him. John Kennedy walked off that stage not as a joke, But as a reminder of what true leadership looks like, he showed the world that sometimes the greatest power isn't in delivering the sharpest comeback, but in standing tall, staying true, and transforming ridicule into respect. And that night left a powerful message for everyone watching. And no matter who mocks you, no matter how others may belittle your voice, never let them decide your worth. Strength isn't proven by how loud you are, but by how steady you remain when the world tries to shake you.